just kind of take our time and go over it, just so you get a general feel of what the tool can do. Okay, so first things first, telephone integration. Basically, what is it? What we're trying to do, what we are doing with this tool is we're connecting your phone system to Dynamics 365, right? So basically, what can you do with this tool? It's used to capture and track phone calls. That's kind of the main thing that we're doing with it. How are we doing that? So basically, the tool resides on your machine, and when a call does come in, if it's a number that you already have in Dynamics, it will recognize that caller and give the little pop-up to you. Again, you'll see this later in the demo, but it'll give that little pop-up to you where you're able to actually click on that and then have a couple of screen pops happen. Normally, that's you can have the contact record or the account record pop up for you. Also have that the phone call activity pop up for you. Nice part is that, again, that phone call activity is pre-filled for you with all that information in there. And then the second thing is that from that, one of the things that we've noticed that's great that we can have those pop-ups happen, but another thing that we've kind of added to the product is the ability to create activity straight from the balloon, right? So, we can create phone call activities, we can set appointments on this, create cases, emails based upon, just straight out of the balloon just by clicking. You can kind of make that stuff. You can make that stuff happen right from the telephone integration balloon. So you can actually create records again, as I said before. The create activities and the creating records again, they kind of go hand in hand. So you can create cases, like say someone calls in. If you're a support person, you want to create a case for that person. You can just go ahead and do that straight from the balloon as well. And then on the administrative side, we have some call statistics and call analysis that give you an overview of kind of what's going on with all these phone calls and phone call activities that are in your system. And again, a lot of this may not make sense for you if you've never seen it before, but once I show you the demo, this should all make sense for you. So the next thing is, one of the other things that we really want to try to do with this is simplify dialing out for your users or for yourself. How do we go about doing that? One of those things is to be able to click to dial from phone fields. So just to be able to click on the phone number and have it automatically dial for you, or do this from the command bar. One of the things that's really neat about that is, again, the second portion here is calling from related records. So, usually you have someone like a sales guy or, me, myself, being a support person, we're usually not on the contact record and on the account record. I live in, case records. Your sales guy is going to live in opportunity records or in quotes. Just to be able to click that button, because usually, like on a case, there's no phone number associated with that case. This is a contact associated with that case. So being able to click on that click the dial button from the case and have it pop up with the people that are related to that case, and then select the number that I want to call from there is great. Also, with that pop-up, then all that information for that phone call activity is already filled out, and the regarding's already set for that case, right? So I don't have to change anything. I can just make these phone calls and fill out these phone call activities on the fly, and then it's all stored right there in that case. So the same thing would go for your sales guy with the quotes or the opportunities, etc. Lastly, another thing that we have, and this is just kind of a really nice bonus feature that comes along with this, is power dialing. And power dialing is basically a workspace in itself. What it does is it allows you to create these power dialing lists. So lists of, say, for example, many contacts that you want to call very quickly. You can take that power dialing list once you create it and assign it to a team of users or to an individual user. Basically, what this workspace does is it kind of concentrates that person or that team on making these phone calls very quickly, where they'll have access to everything in Dynamics, plus some tools at the top that allow them to make these phone calls quickly and easily. Again, we'll show that in the demo. So the biggest question that we get here in support, and a lot of our sales guys get, is, does my phone system work with telephone integration? So the answer to that is, yeah. I mean, more than likely it does. We try to support as many phone systems as we possibly can. That includes, say, Skype for Business or Link or just regular Skype. But for example, most phone systems, you have some of the older phone systems use what's known as TAPI. Other phone systems, the newer phone systems, the internet-based ones, the VoIP ones, they use SIP phone interfaces, and we do support those. So that's definitely something that we don't know exactly like all the phone systems that are supported because there's a lot of phone systems out there. But again, we try to make it as easy as possible, and that's kind of one of the things that we're going to show today is we do have a test tool that allow you to test to see if your phone system, whether it be a TAPI phone system or a SIP phone, whether or not that's going to work with it. Okay, so moving on, just want to talk a little bit about installation and configuration because a lot of you guys are new to this. Let's talk a little bit about what this all entails, right? So there's two different pieces to it. There's two different parts that you do have to install. Number one is the server solutions. Okay, these are solutions. They are managed solutions that go right into your dynamic system. And what these do is they handle the click-to-dial capabilities, your call statistics. Okay, the global configuration for the entire telephone integration tool that's kind of built into there in Dynamics, and licensing. It handles those parts. The second part is the telephone integration client. And the telephone integration client is kind of what I'm going to show. You're going to see mostly here in the demo today. It is actually required to be installed on each user's machine that is going to be using telephone integration. All right. So really simple. How long does it take? Well, usually we say getting started. It's going to take you roughly around an hour to 2 hours from installing the server and configuring it to installing the client. Okay, just the first thing that we want to you want to kind of do is, especially if you're using one of those a phone system, a SIP or a TAPI phone system, is you want to start off with that compatibility test tool, right? So there are some steps that you have to do kind of before you get started with our installation, right? You have to configure, you have to make sure that your TAPI stuff is configured, your SIP stuff is configured, and usually that is one of those things that's done by your phone system person, right? They're going to know that the best, and they're going to be able to configure that all for you, or at least show you how to do that. And then after that, you're going to run the test tool and make sure that that you can continue with installing the pieces. So the next part is you're going to want to install the server. For our online customers, you can install from AppSource, or you can download it from our website. Okay. For on-premise customers, the download is also available to you. It's going to be the same download that you'll use for the online. Couple advantages here. One, the AppSource download. There's nothing that you have to actually install. Okay, all the solutions and everything like that we spoke about over here are going to be pushed onto your system. Excuse me. The entire configuration is you can do this right inside of Dynamics. Okay, so it's really it's pain free. You don't have to manage like another installation, right? If that matters to you. For our downloaded piece, it's basically just an MSI installer, and it also includes a service configuration. So you have the option to actually configure some things on your phone system there from the tool itself, or also inside of Dynamics. My recommendation, if you can, is to go ahead and download it from AppSource, especially if you're Dynamics Online, because again, there's no secondary installation to manage there. Telephone Integration Client, you can download it straight from our website. Again, it's just another MSI installer. If you've installed a program before, it's pretty straightforward. There's just a couple little small things that you have to pay attention to. But we do have some documentation that can kind of walk you through it. And the install of that doesn't take very long, especially now with the global configuration. You can actually configure all your clients right there in the global config, and then the client will connect to Dynamics, download that configuration, and then your user will be all set up and ready to go. So it doesn't take long. All right. So the next piece, the demonstration today, what we're going to show today. So the first thing we're going to show you is the test tool. kind of what that looks like, what to expect, and how it works. Then we're going to go over what it looks like to receive an inbound call. Um, and let's see, so with caller recognition and screen pops, we're going to create a record and create records and phone call activities, show you that. We're going to show callback or calling out using click to dial. Then show you what the call statistics look like, what you can kind of do with it, talk a little bit about what you can do with that. And then lastly, we're going to go over the power dialer. Okay, so let me flip over here to my demo system here. Okay, hold on. Boom. There we go. And the first thing I'm going to do is going to go ahead and bring up this test tool, the phone test tool. Now, the phone test tool, you can actually download it from our website. If you're on the Telephone Integrations product page, you're going to see a little button there that says, test my configuration. I believe that's what it's called. Also on our downloads page for Telephone Integration, you'll have this. So this is what it looks like. I just kind of open it up. It's pretty simple to follow. Just basically welcome to phone test, right? So there's a couple of things that you need to know. Again, I'm just going to reiterate this again, that you need to have either your TAPI or a TAPI driver or your TAPI stuff or your SIP stuff. You need to have that, kind of pre-configured, right? You need to have that already configured. So again, get with your phone system person. They can help you kind of set this up. Or some companies out there, if you're using a like an online SIP provider, they have ways to show you how to set this up locally or what you need to do. So today, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get started, and then you have your choices whether you're using TAPI or SIP. Today, what I'm going to show you is SIP here. So I'll just go ahead and select that. Again, it's got some information here for you to read. Okay, but I'm just going to go ahead and click next. All right, so then I just wait for just a moment while it gets everything ready. All right, great. So for SIP, basically there's a couple things that I need to know. For most SIP systems, it's pretty straightforward. You just need to know your SIP username, password, and the domain, right? For mine, it's a little bit more complicated, so I need to use my advanced. Again, your phone system person is going to know all this information for you and be able to help you out with this, okay? Setting this up. So for me, let me go ahead and get my information here. So I've got it on the other screen. I'm just going to copy most of it. And again here, an info in there. And grab my domain here. And then my domain proxy. So, and then my authorized username. So again, pretty simple to do. You just get all that information in there. Again, if you need all this other stuff, your phone system person is going to know or should know this information, what you need to put in here to get this to go. So once I have all my info in there, I'll go ahead and click next. All right. Then it takes just a moment, gets me over to my next piece. So on this one, basically what I'm going to be doing is testing an incoming call. So you're going to want to either do, you do this from your cell phone, do this from another phone, etc. So I'm going to make a phone call here. This might get a little bit strange, but let's see here. Let me go ahead and get this going. Hold on just 1 second. One moment. Here. I had this set up and now my thing is blacked out. Like I'm not on here. Hold on just a moment. Nope. Apologize. I had to get my user online here so I could actually make a phone call to myself. Hold on 1 second. Bear with me just a minute. All right, here we go. I should be online in just a moment. There we go. So great. So now I'm logged into my own phone. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and make this incoming call. So here we go. So I've got an incoming call here. It lets me know that there's a call coming in. I can go ahead and answer this call. All right. So I have the information there, so I know that the call is connected. So all I need to do is hang this up. So what it does while it's doing that is it's going through a few tests here. And basically what it's trying to do is seeing if the caller ID is detected, whether or not we're able to answer it, whether or not we're able to connect to it, and in the call. Those are the couple tests that we need to do. All right, so great. So that all tested out just fine. So let's go ahead here and continue on to our next thing. So it looks like the incoming call worked out good. So now here, we're going to test our outgoing call. So here, I basically need to enter a phone number. So I'll just enter a phone number for our U.S. office. So I'll go ahead and dial. All right, so I went ahead and dialed out. Okay, piece was detected. I was able to end the call, but it didn't detect a call state. All right, so that's definitely something that I need to work on. So what I can do here is I can go ahead and click continue. And you can see here I can get my status. It's my incoming call works fine, but my outgoing call, there is an issue with it. It's not 100% complete. So that's something that I need to go back and take a look at. Now, these are things that we can actually kind of help you with, and this is why I'm kind of showing you this here. What I can do here is if I have an issue with something, okay, and I'm pretty sure everything's set up correctly, I can get these details over here, all right? And this probably means absolutely nothing to anyone here, but it does to us. So we can copy all these out, and you can actually send it to support@mscrm-addons.com, and we can take a look at it and tell you if there's, if there's something incorrect, or if there's something going on with it, what the errors are, etc. So we can definitely help you out with that. So that's kind of the tool in a nutshell, right? So yeah, so it makes it, hopefully it's going to make it a lot easier for you to kind of test this and know if you're going to be able to continue on with the installation of telephone integration. All right, so there's the test tool. Let's go ahead and get into telephone integration. Let's just say everything went really smooth and everything. So one thing that I need to go ahead and do in a little moment. So basically, this is where your telephone integration client lives, right? Right down here in your system tray. As you can see, I've started up. So right now, it's just making my connection to CRM. It's letting me know that I have power dialing lists assigned to myself. And then basically, when I click this, I get our telephone integration balloon. Okay. This basically is where you're going to be doing a lot of your work. This is what the thing, this is like a little pop-up here. Okay, so you have a little pop-ups. You can expand these to see some different information about the call, whether it was incoming or outgoing, or whether you missed a call. So you can see all this information right here in the balloon. Again, you can search for phone numbers or people in your system. So say, for example, I knew that I needed to call Alex and didn't want to look him up in CRM. I can just go ahead and find that information, have all this information right here, and click right out of the balloon to dial those phone numbers. So what I want to do here is kind of show you what it looks like here on an incoming call. So let me just go ahead and get this out of the way and bring up my little simulator here that's going to do this. So hang on one second. Let's see. Let me call this number. All right, so let's say, for example, here that I'm just, I'm doing what I normally do, and I'm working inside of Dynamics, doing support stuff, and I get an incoming phone call. So the first thing that's going to happen here is a telephone integration balloon that's going to pop up, okay, and then I can immediately see who this is, right? So it's Southridge Video, it's the account, they're calling in from their main number. So all I need to do is click this to answer it, or I can click the answer button down here. So I'll just go ahead and click this. And then what I get here is I get a couple pop-ups. My balloon kind of stays active, lets me know that I'm in an active call. But what I get is a few pop-ups here. Number one, the first one that popped up is the account. So the account for Southridge Video. So I have that information already there. Don't have to go digging in Dynamics for it. Okay, and then lastly is this new phone call activity. It's already set up, so it's a call from Southridge video to my user. Has the phone number already stored in there, the direction that's coming, it's an incoming call. And then all I need to do is whoever I'm speaking with, I can enter in a subject. So let's say they're calling about a late video that Michael rented, and he needs to return it. So this is let's see, Michael needs to return Finding Nemo, because he rented that and needs to get it back. Okay, simple enough. Not like what most of your calls are going to be like, but that's easy enough. So that's all I needed to do there for this. So with the telephone integration piece, once I'm done with it, I hang up the call. Okay, and then let's say, for example, here that I save this. I need to save this, so close my balloon. Save this information here. Again, it's all saved right here to this particular account here. So I've got my call and everything like that straight from everything's there. So let's say, for example, that what I needed to do was I needed to create from that call, needed to create a task for Michael to return that video, right? So what I can do here is on this, I can right click it, and you can do this even when you're in a phone call. You can set up a new activity. Again, you can create a case, an opportunity, so I can create a case for, create a case for it, etc. Hang on one second, right click, and I'm going to create a new activity. I'm going to create a task. All right, and this task is for, let's see, to return video, right? And I'm going to go ahead and assign this here to Michael. All right, great. So I'll save that. So great. So Michael's got a new task. He needs to return the video. Well, let's say, for example, that Michael calls me up and says, hey, I've got it. Which store should I return it to? Who am I returning this thing to? I didn't get that information when I was on the phone call. So I need to call these people back. So here I'm on the account. All right. So I want to go ahead and call them back. And let's say, for example, that I know that I spoke with Eric. So let's see here. So what I can do here is from my account, I can go into here. I can click my call number button here. So I've got the main phone number for the main store, but this is the different store, the one that Eric works at. So I can come down here. I have all my contacts associated with this account. I can open up Eric's information, and I have the business phone of the store that he works at, and his home phone number. So let's say that I knew that, he told me that he wasn't going to be there if there were any questions to give him a call at home. So I can go ahead and select that, or just double click it, and then it starts that call for me, right? So I'm dialing out right now, dialing this number. Once the call is activated, I can, speak to Eric. We're talking about it, and let's say I want to record this, so I can actually go ahead. I don't have this set up this way, but I want to create, I don't have it to set up for a pop-up, but let's say I want to make a new phone call activity just to let Michael know that, yeah, I spoke to him, so that he can see this inside of Dynamics. So a new phone call activity here real quick. Get that information here. So when I create these, everything is populated, right? So it's a call from me to Eric. It's my outgoing number. It's a phone number here. So called and let him know. Oh, wait. There we go. Spell Michael's name right. Right. So I've got all that information in. Then I can set these things regarding. I could set it regarding to the task. If I wanted to. But yeah. So I just got all that information in there, and you can see. So it's really easy to kind of zip around here and do the things that you need to do with a combination of using the telephone integration balloon and Dynamics. So just to be able to create the new activities or the entities or the new records here from the balloon makes it a lot easier than having to zip around Dynamics, right? So a combination of the both, it works out really, really well. So that's kind of like how everything works, right? So it's the incoming call, what the screen pops look like, what an outgoing call looks like, and how I can actually use the balloon to let me create tasks, or to create activities, or to create records, etc. So the next piece that I want to show is the power dialing. So for power dialing, as you saw when I started up my telephone integration tool, it let me know that I was part of a power dialing list. Now, we do have documentation on how to create power dialing lists, so I'm not really going to go into it. I just kind of want to show you the interface here. So what I do if I'm assigned a power dialing list, I can right-click on my telephone integration icon and come up here to my power dialer. What that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and it's going to show me a list of all the power dialing lists that I'm a part of. So as an individual or like a team, you can assign multiple lists to multiple people. This gives you just basically a list, and the one we're going to be working on is these upcoming events. Okay, so basically, there's just some information about this is a new list. I have 41 calls that I have to make in this list. There are 41 calls left to do. So this hasn't even started yet. So what I do is I just will select that. I selected too hard here. So hold on, let me go back. Select that and go ahead and click start. Okay, so I'll start this up. This opens up my power dialing interface here. Great. So a couple things here. What it's going to do is it's going to come in and kind of start off. It's first here what I'm looking at. This is the power dialer. This is the workspace here. Okay, so you see some familiarity here. This is Dynamics, right? So it starts me off here with this phone call information. So I have this phone call. This is the phone call that I'm actually going to be making here. And so what we do is we have split this out into a couple of different sections. So we have the section here for Dynamics. Again, I can click around in Dynamics. I can go, navigate Dynamics. This is something that you can actually control whether or not your users are able to do this or not. But all I need to do when I want to get back to that phone call activity is come up to this section, which tells me a little bit about what I'm actually working on at the time, and click my back to call button. It takes me right there. But again, here I have some information about the person that I'm calling, what company they're with, etc. Again, and can totally navigate around Dynamics with that. The next piece here is just information about the power dialing list itself. This tells me how many calls are left, so I'm 41 out of 41, which means I have all the calls left to do. The number of claimed calls. A claim call is basically, so when I'm working on a power dialing list, I claim the call that I am working on, plus I claim the next call that I'm going to be working on. Why is this significant? Well, multiple people can work on the same power dialing list at the same time. So in order to keep people from calling the same person twice, basically when you work on this, you're going to claim two calls, right? You're going to claim your call that you're on and your next call. This will prevent anyone else who's working on this list at the same time to claim the same call that you're making, right? So you can have 10 people working on this and they will never call a duplicate number, right? So that's basically what that is. So it also kind of lets you know how many people are working on the list right now. If I saw four, I'd know that someone else is working on this list with me right now. And this lets me know how many calls are finished, right? And so we have some options at the end: rescheduled, successful, and failed. And it gives me a count on those, right? So again, all this stuff is configurable to show. So the last little piece here is this is where you're going to make all your phone calls, where all the phone calls and everything like that are going to go out. You will have a list of numbers if there's more than one number. Like for example, this is the default number that I'm going to call. If I had a home number as well, I could put that in there and call that. So again, I can skip this. Again, totally configurable to where you can allow your people not to skip phone calls. You can see this pre-processing time here. It's kind of counting up. I can limit that. I can say, after 30 seconds, go ahead and start dialing out. Gives people 30 seconds to kind of read kind of what's going on, take everything in. It usually doesn't take long, so you can set that or just leave it open. But all I need to do to make this phone call is just go ahead and dial out. All right. So what it's doing is dialing out, dialing the phone number. Okay, and once I'm connected, I'm in the conversation mode, right? So this is where everything kind of comes into play. So I actually know who I'm calling here. I'm calling John, and I'm calling about some upcoming events that we had. Okay, so again, this is totally configurable. I can actually go ahead and kind of pre-configure these phone calls with some questions here. So you know, I can ask him like certain questions, or it's on a script or what have you. You can have it all read from there. So it's just like let's see, did he attend any of our? Did he attend our last event? Is he interested in you know, some upcoming events? So he's not interested. Great, that's the two simple calls. Once I'm done with that, I hang up. Then I'm presented with our post-processing piece here. I have a couple of different things that I can do. I can reschedule if the call was succeeded or if the call failed, so I can have all these statistics. So let's say this call definitely failed. So basically what happens is it goes right into the next phone call, right? So again, have all my information up here, who I'm calling here, calling Inigo Montoya. That's a nice surprise. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and dial out here. Great, and again, once it's dialed, once it's connected, I can you know, put this information in here. Now, let's say, for example, he is actually interested. Okay, so yes, so this call succeeded. Again, get stored, go on to the next number, or go on to the next number. It's Inigo Montoya 2. So great. Let's see. So I can give them a call. Again, you can see the process here, how quickly you can kind of go through these. Once we're in, hang up. Lastly, the last thing I wanted to cover is the reschedule option. So let's say I reached Inigo Montoya, number 2, and you know, he wasn't able to speak to me right then. So I'm able to actually reschedule this call. Okay, so I come up, I get a little calendar, and let's say he tells me that the best time to reach him would be the 15th at, say, for example, 8 p.m. Or nope, that's wrong. That's right. 20. So 8 o'clock, right? So I can go ahead and I can save this, and then what happens here for the user? They don't see this, but this goes on to the next call, which is Inigo Montoya 3, but goes to the next call. But the previous call, what happens is it kind of gets held in the queue. It gets held back until the 15th at 8 o'clock, where it just jumps to the front of the queue. Okay? So anyone working on the power dialing list at that time, that's going to be their next call once like the 8 o'clock time period rolls around. So you're able to go through all these calls, reschedule these calls, and kind of like work through all these things very, very quickly. Again, this can be some users, and it could be like on different shifts, right? So it doesn't matter. You know, especially like with people like rescheduling calls, like if it's that person's going to be called at 8, someone else on another shift may take it. They may take over it. So the power dialer lets you do a whole lot and make a lot of phone calls quickly and easily. Last thing that I did want to show that I didn't show here before was that so our what good is a calling tool without any kind of statistics or anything like that? So we have a lot of different metrics that we kind of record inside of CRM. All this information's in CRM. Here's a couple of just different small charts that we've created. These are defaults. These are the ones that are out of the box. You can kind of you can use these as an example, or you know, you can create your own if you're kind of handy with charts. So you can see all these things. This one lets me know like all calls per direction per month. So what we have like incoming versus outgoing calls. Okay. And then we have like, say for example, all calls in any direction, whether incoming or outgoing. So I have the incoming calls here, I have the outgoing calls here, and this also breaks it down to whether or not they were calling an account, whether or not they were calling contacts, leads, you know, and then all the calls together. So it gives you a nice breakdown of, you know, we have a lot of different things that you can combine into these different charts that you can actually put in there yourself, or just use these default ones if you're happy with those. Like I said, you know, what good is a calling tool without being able to kind of check these? You can break these down by actual, you know, like users, see what your users are doing, etc. So that concludes our demonstration for today and our webinar for today.